Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great privilege and honor to give this young man on the call. He's a dad, he's a husband, he's an actor, he was a retired bartender, and now he's now he's one of ACN's go-to guest speakers. And I'm glad to have him on a call today, as always, this month. Merging season with none other than the great Regional Vice President, Mr. Dean Tarrolly.
Good morning. So really good to see all of you. I hope that you are ready because I got some stuff for you. This is for today, making sure I'm prepared for Al. And let me tell you guys why I say that. I'm prepared for you, but I need to be prepared for him. And let me tell you why. And I think this is important. Al is in a position that I've been working towards, quite frankly, for a while. And that's full disclosure. And I never take these calls for granted, because if I don't deliver, I mean, it's a reflection on me, but ultimately it's a reflection on the host, because it's his responsibility to create an environment for all of you that's going to give you the best chance to win. And by the way, I didn't say you're going to win. That has nothing to do with Al, and that has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with you. But I have an obligation to Al to make sure that every time I finish a call with you guys, my hope is at least one person got one thing to advance their business. Then it was a success. And I do not take that responsibility lightly. And the respect I have for Mr. Thomas, as you guys know, is significant, because for him to be as committed as he is, week after week, day after day, to put these calls together, which he does not have to do, I think, character and leadership reveal itself over time. And Mr. T, I appreciate you. And I guess we'll dive in if you all are ready. Are you ready? Okay, here goes. So last week, so when I talked with you guys last week, I was like, man, y'all are having me back again? Like again, what are we in our 10th year? Like, this is crazy. And it's important to me to try not to train you on things I've covered. But there's a challenge with that, because I've covered a lot of ground with you guys. Like, I've covered a lot. So then so in July, I'm thinking about what am I going to take you guys on to help you get this result that I imagine you want, because otherwise you wouldn't be on this call, and nor would you be an ACN still, if you've been around for a minute. What can I do to advance your business? What can I do? And we've covered a lot of ground. So last week, what I covered was, it's not a can or a can't, it's a will or a won't. And those are two very different things. Can and can't, or a will or a won't, are very different. And I am going to make an assumption moving forward with today. I'm going to move with the assumption that if you're on this call, and there's over 60 of you on this call, I'm going to say that I believe that you all chose that this is a will. Like, this is a will. You will do this. Okay. So if it's a will, it's not a can or a can't. We know that you can. It's a will or a won't, and that is your decision. So there's 2 points to go over today. We're going to dive in, but it's going to be simple. There's 2 points if you're a will. If you're not a will, I don't know why you're on the call. I'm just being direct. I'm just being, by the way, sharing nice glasses. No problem. So, all right, it's a will. There's two issues here. If you're saying you're a will, here they are. Number one, you can write it down. Are you putting in work? Number one is, are you putting in work? So I know one of our little fan favorites here is Jen Olson. And as I've gotten to know Jen, one of the things that she did is we know she's been putting in work. And I'm going to tell you how I know she's been putting in work. Okay. Here's how I know it. I know it. It's point number two. Point number one is, are you putting in work? Point number two is, what evidence are you providing? And that's trouble for a lot of you in ACN. Okay. Number one, are you putting in work? And number two, what evidence are you providing? Okay. So let's talk about some ACN work. And this is going to be simple because I have covered this before. But you have to figure out whether or not you're really putting in work, because look, you can fool Al and you can fool me and you can even fool yourself, but you cannot fool the reports. You cannot. It is not possible. So let's talk about work in ACN. In fact, I'll ask a question, right? You can nod, you can put it in the chat. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Or shake your head, whatever. Your commitment to this call every single day, 5 days a week. Is this ACN work? It is absolutely not ACN work. It is not. Now, by the way, for the record, this is my opinion. And don't worry if you got that one wrong. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'd rather, listen to this. And I know I speak for Al in this. I'd rather someone take a shot at the answer and be wrong than be on the sidelines, always looking to see if someone else is going to answer. Like, come on. So let me define for you ACN work. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. ACN work. Are you getting a customer or are you helping someone on your team get a customer? Are you presenting the business or are you helping someone or presenting for someone on your team? That's it. Like, that's freaking it. And by the way, here's how I know that's the case. You get paid 0 ACN dollars for being on Al's call. None, not a dollar, not a dime. Now, there's some people on the call go, hold on a minute, Dean, that's not true. See, I'm on that call and I'm getting trained and I'm learning stuff and I'm absolutely. Don't confuse my message. I'm not saying don't be trained and don't be on the calls. That is not my message. My message is, if that is all you are doing, you are making no money in ACN. That is attending, not participating. And I've covered that with you guys before. So there's one other piece to ACN work that you can include in this as a kind of a third point. And that is, am I promoting the next event? Am I promoting the next event? You guys, let me tell you something. Al ripped off all those stats. He went through all those stats when I was getting myself settled here. And those statistics should be a a warning shot over the bridge of what we have our hands on. So why wouldn't somebody get good at getting a customer or helping someone get a customer? Why wouldn't someone want to learn how to present the business and present for themselves or for the people on the team? Why wouldn't they do it? Why? It makes no sense to me. Why? Because this is not a full-time thing. So if your business right now is not in the position you want it to be, in other words, you aspire to be at a different position in ACN than you're currently at right now. In other words, you want to move up, yes or no? Well, guess what it's going to take? It's going to take more customers. And unless you want to get all those customers by yourself, it's also going to take a team. Which means we go back to the two things that ACN does. So why, after the decade and a half I've been doing Al's Call, why am I talking about the three things that I always talk about? Getting customers, building teams, promoting the events. Because if you're doing something outside of those three things, you are not putting in ACN work. You are preparing to put in ACN work. Does that mean practice is not important? No, it does not mean practice is not important. You know, the old Allen Iverson thing, which is one of the greatest quotes ever. Practice? We're talking about practice? Well, here's the thing you guys got to know about Allen Iverson and why he was able to say that. Because it was a reporter talking about practice. Let me ask you a question. If he is one of the, when he played, he was probably one of the 5 best players in the league, Allen Iverson. And short guy for the league, dominated. Why? Because he put in hours of practice. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So the first question is, are you putting in the work? Now, let's be clear about this. When I talk about what pays you in ACN, it's getting a customer or getting a rep and getting that rep qualified. So customers are hitting the books. That's what pays you in ACN. So you have to figure out if you're putting in work. Now, do you need to put in work ahead of time? Better believe it. You get rewarded in public for your work in private. You get rewarded in public for your work in private. What does that mean? That means when you have an opportunity and that opportunity presents itself in any given day, the work that you put in that is definable by ACN is getting a customer, getting a rep, helping them get qualified. That is definable work. Here's another definable metric, as Greg Provenzano likes to say. How many people do you have coming to the events? Locally, regionally, nationally, in person, virtual? How many? You guys understand something, the position that you're in right now, if you have the same number of people on this call, or if you have the same number of people coming to an event that you had last week, last month, I have to tell you, your business is not growing. That might warrant us looking at what work are you doing. So I'm going to tell you guys something. So check us out. Here goes. We're going in. By the way, are you ready to dive in? Well, too late. You're already in the water with me. If you are putting in the work and you are consistently, let's talk about peaking. Let's talk about peaking in a week. How many people did you peak this week? 50. How many people did you peak last week? 50. How many people did you peak the week before that? 50. Really? How many reps have joined your team? 0. Okay, there's one of two issues that we have here. Number one, you haven't really peaked 50 people in a week. Or if you really have, there is an absence of skill set on how to take someone from a peak to a presentation. And I think that's a very important piece of information. So number one is, are you putting in the work? And practice counts, but practice doesn't pay you. Does that make sense, everybody, so far? Okay, cool. Well, here comes the next part. Okay, here comes the next part. What evidence are you providing? What evidence are you providing? And I'm not talking about flashy clothes or shoes or stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. For you, what evidence are you providing? How about this? You present to someone, and by the way, how about this? You have the opportunity to present to someone, and you have a team and a report that if you printed it out, it looked like Al Thomas had a phone book, and that's his report. You know who you guys would, listen to me. You know who you guys would talk to? You know who you would talk to? Everyone. You talk to everyone. Why? Because you have a report the size of a phone book. Your kid could stand on it. You have more customers. You have a higher residual. That's evidence. That's evidence. You have more reps. You have more bonuses. That's evidence. Could you imagine someone having a conversation with Al, and the person says, Al, you know, I see what you're doing with ACN, and I don't think it's going to work. I don't think yeah, y'all are laughing. I don't think it's going to work. You know, could you imagine Al Thomas looking at the person and doing me like this? Well, why don't you think it's going to work? And the guy goes, man, I mean, these companies, man, they just, people don't get paid. They don't work. And, you know, like people don't do things. And Al goes like this, man, you know what? I never thought about it that way. Maybe I should rethink this whole thing. Al would look at the guy as if he had pink hair, on fire, dressed like Bozo the Clown, going, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? That comes from the knowledge of the evidence that you could provide that your business is working. So some of you are going, well, geez, I'm not like Al Thomas. I don't have a report that's a phone book that I could stand on. Look, I'm brand new. My entire global ACN organization is me, my spouse, and my friend. Well, guess what I think? That is 66% bigger than if it was just you by yourself. You got a team. Congratulations. Celebrate that. Because really, you got started in that business. Like, what's going on? I got a team. Like, we're doing big things. I have evidence of the practice that I put in is now showing up as hard evidence. You guys remember a few months ago, I showed you a clip from A Few Good Men. I don't know if any of you guys remember that. I showed you, and Tom Cruise, and it says, it doesn't matter what I believe. It only matters what I can prove. Because see, here's what happens. You can have all the belief in the world in ACN, and we all do. We all know it works. You can have all the belief in the world. But it's the proof that will propel you. It's the proof of that person saying, I'm in. There we go. We just got a rep alert right now. Have no idea what. So that it's the proof. So I think it might have been Darren Hardy, which, you know, I like Darren Hardy. I mean, I don't listen to him all the time, whatever, but I mean, you know, he says valuable stuff. I mean, but you know, his one of his mentors, Jim Rohn, I listen to all the time. And I listen to Building Your Network Marketing Business. To this day, I listen to it. I've done that. I've listened to that CD over 200 times. I'm telling you. Well, one of the things that I did hear Darren Hardy say at an event, and I'd never heard it really said like this, is the following. He said, What you're doing speaks so loud, I can't hear a word you're saying. What you're doing speaks so loud, I can't hear a word you're saying. So I'm thinking about this and going, well, you know what? If I'm putting in the work, I'm getting customers, asking for the favor, getting my points up, my residual is going to increase. I'm doing something. And that doing something leads us to providing evidence of what we're doing works. Part-time. Do not confuse this. Well, dude, that sounds great for someone who can do this. No, this is not a full-time or part-time conversation. This is an ACN do this well or don't do it well conversation. This is an ACN. It's not a can or can't conversation. It's a will or won't conversation. Makes sense so far or no? Okay. So if you're putting in the work, getting a customer, helping someone get a customer, presenting the business or helping someone present the business or getting someone registered for an event, you're doing ACN. So here's the challenge for you guys. And I'm going to ask next week, did you do one thing every day in those three categories, in one of the three categories? You don't even have to do one in each category. Be great if you did. It'd be great if you did. Why? Because your business will be in a different position by the time I get to speak with you guys next Thursday. By the way, Al, I'll see you in Cleveland this weekend. My point is, if you get a customer or you do a presentation or you get someone registered for the Florida event and you do that once a day, every day for a week, your business will not be in the same place it is today. And that's why you freaking signed up for this thing. Please. Let's go to work part-time. And the work you do on your own does show up if you do it with a purpose. If you do what I'm talking about with a purpose, and I'm talking about practicing and getting yourself together and practicing the presentation and understanding the favor approach and acquiring a customer. If you do that, guess what? When you have the opportunity and it presents itself, you will be ready. You don't worry about the test when you've done the homework. So let me show you guys something here. We're going to wrap it up. So I found this, and I think it goes to exactly what we're talking about. So I want you guys to watch. I want you to turn up your volume, and let me know if you're ready.
That's what's wrong with most of our athletes today. We don't practice to be great. We don't practice to be dominant. We practice to practice. What do you mean by that, Prime? I'm glad you asked. We practice counting the number of periods. We practice understanding how much time we got left. We practice just to get through practice. We cutting deals in practice. You go soft, I go soft. We don't practice to be dominant. When I ask you, what was your purpose of practice? You ain't got no answer for me. I'm gonna ask you, what is your purpose of practice? I don't care if you practice at work. I don't care if you practice with your relationship. I don't care if you practice in any endeavor you choose to do. What is your purpose for practice? I practiced to be the best ever. So every time I walked on that field, I had a purpose for my practice. True.
That made sense. The entire purpose of what we're doing is for you to have a purpose for being here on Al's call, for you to have a purpose, understand why you're putting in the work, what you're doing behind it. What evidence are you providing? Are you providing evidence that you're a show up person and that's it? Or are you actually going to do something today that's going to advance your business? And what I'm asking of you is this: one thing each day for 7 days. Get a customer, help someone get a customer, present the business, help someone present the business. And if you do that for the next 7 days, I'm letting you know your business will be in a completely different place than it is right now. With that, Mr. Thomas, I'm gonna turn it back over to you. Thanks for your time, you guys. I had fun today. I hope you did as well. And we'll talk soon.